Hello everybody, this is Debo's Movie Reviews here, and today I'll be reviewing The November Man, starring, of course, Pierce Brosnan as Pete Devereaux, movie directed by Roger Donaldson, and then you got Luke Bracey as Mason, Olga Kurylenko as Alice, Bill Smitrovich as Hanley, along with Eliza Taylor as Sarah, and Will Patton as Perry Weinstein, who's like the head of a CIA division head, whereas Hanley was like a former handler of Peter Devereaux. You might as well just describe this movie as just about like the Detonator movies of just your non-canon Brosnan Bond adaptations. Given you have a lot of similar elements, except of course Peter Devereaux was CIA instead of MI6. And Mike's, I kind of forgot the last name, and Detonator was UN, Secret Task Force. But if you want to know more, just watch my review on the Detonator. Whereas also featured in terms of Bond connection with Olga Kurylenko, who was the Bond girl in Quantum of Solace. And of course, Will Patton. And pretty much unrecognizable role, because a lot of other movies I see him in, he's usually got long hair and a beard. And that he just, hey, expand that range, boy. And of course, you had the favorable casting of Luke Bracey as Mason, who was like a former protege of Devereaux, who turned, and basically after the beginning of the movie where Devereaux did a botched security job, and he took a 5-year retirement because of it. Nearly burned his protege, and of course he got the character Alice, who was like a rape victim of the upcoming Russian president, where an ex-general running for president, played by Lazar Rostovsky as Arkady Fedorov, and of course, outright piece of shit. Following basically Devereaux was called back to service, and then to extract a fellow agent who was undercover for the coming Russian candidate, and of course she botched an operation, and then Devereaux tried to save her, and then of course she died, and then which was something only he could do because of a personal deal, because they had a thing, and they were together, and she was the mother of his daughter, whereas Fernier was just a girl got wrong place ages, and then of course Devereaux saves and trains her, because that was kind of like a badass action sequence with her, where they teamed up against Fedorov's men. And of course, spoiler alert, with the handler who got called Devereaux back, turning against him. Sorry for the twist, but It's kind of one reason I review older movies. And of course, casting of Liza Taylor before that 100, which made her a big name. It was the love interest of Mason. It was basically like the agent. It was bad, but yeah, you can't really figure out if he's good or bad at times because he starts out good, turns bad, and yeah, I'm not gonna give away anymore. But overall, I mean, a lot of great action. I mean, had that one scene when Bond or Devereaux just shows up and just does a job trying to take out Mason's men, and then one scene where he's just waiting in that tunnel, just right before the car pops the driver, and then it's the conveniently placed truck with a glass. And that excellent shootout. I mean, hell, shit ton of action because unlike the Bond movies, November Man was actually R-rated, and I'd say the action kind of makes up for the cliche storylines. Storyline of retired agent, you could almost say it's about like if No Time to Die was a Brosnan adaptation. And let alone kind of rare occasions that a former Bond and a former Bond girl work together in a non-Bond film, which is surprising given how Kirienko was only in a Craig movie, not a Brosnan movie, and of course there was another example was Penny Dreadful with Dalton and Ava Green. But I do gotta admit, Luke Bracey did a good job, but he just wasn't leading man material. I mean, you had somebody else in that was more action oriented. It probably would have been a lot more memorable. But overall, I gotta give November Band about a 4 out of 5. I mean, I kind of want to give it a 5, but story was kind of mixed. Action, more action than a story, but definitely ain't bad. For one, I almost want to consider in Fan Fury Brosnan's 5th Bond movie, but then again, I later discovered the Detonator movies, which were almost a thing to a point of yeah. So I was like, hey, Death Battle guys, you got to do like a Bond versus Detonator type Death Battle. I mean, come on. But overall, I got to give y'all give 4 out of 5. I hope y'all like, subscribe, and enjoy, and I'll keep dishing them out.